everyone, it's Maki here. Do you know After War Gundam X? This work was produced to break the phenomenon of declining TV anime ratings that started around the time of Bully Gundam. It's a work from a time when the Gundam series was struggling. Among fans, it's sometimes said to be a work that ended in the middle of the story. However, this perception isn't necessarily true. Due to adjustments in the broadcasting schedule of the TV station, the broadcasting time of the TV anime was shortened and the broadcasting time was changed. Before the change, it was broadcast on Fridays at 5 p.m. However, after the change, it was aired at 6 a.m. on Saturdays. When Gundam X aired, the internet was not yet widely used. The primary target audience, elementary school children, were not in the habit of checking TV schedules. As a result, many children experienced the feeling that Gundam X suddenly disappeared from TV. This is one of the reasons why Gundam X's popularity is somewhat low. However, it was not an abrupt cancellation, but a change in the overall schedule of the TV station, so the story was not dropped. Director Shinji Takamatsu stated by the time the Gundam X, the protagonist of the second half, appeared, the decision to shorten the story had already been made. Therefore, none of the elements introduced in the second half of the story were omitted. In fact, there is a story that was told after the end of the Gundam X TV anime. Did you press the subscribe button? Let's explore the history of Gundam X together. In the final battle of Gundam X, the leaders of the New Earth Federation and the Space Revolutionary Army died due to attacks by Shades of Frost and Overfrost. After both armies lost their leaders and much of their forces, the two sides entered into peace negotiations. The continuation of this story is included as a bonus on the Blu-ray disc, released in 2018. It's called With You, by my side. After the last battle, Garrod and Tiffa lived in the South Phoenix Autonomous Region. On Earth's North American continent, Garrod made a living by collecting scrap metal from the war. When Garrod returns home, he is greeted by Tiffa holding a baby. The baby is named Keijo and is the child of a couple who live in Garrod's neighborhood. Keijo's parents had contracted a new strain of cold that had begun to spread across Earth and had been hospitalized. The new cold was a powerful disease, and those infected had to live in isolated areas. Jamil and Lancelot mediated between the Earth Federation and the Space Revolutionary Army and developed a new drug that could treat the people's illness. However, the drug had not yet reached the area where Garrod and his friends lived. Caris Notaras comes to visit them. Caris invites Garrod to work with her to maintain order on Earth. The New Earth Federation implemented measures to restore order. One such measure was the Vulture Rehabilitation Act. The vultures, many of whom made their living by collecting the garbage left over from the war, included those who had harmed others. The Earth Federation attempted to integrate the vultures into their organization, giving them jobs and trying to maintain order. At first glance, this seemed like a good policy for creating a new order. However, vultures who refused to cooperate with the Earth Federation were labeled ruffians, equated with pirates or anti-government forces. In some cases, they could become targets for extermination by the Earth Federation regular army. Garrod had doubts about the Federation's aggressive stance, so he declined Caris' invitation. He wanted to live a peaceful life with Tiffa, even if it meant being poor. After After Garrod declined the invitation, Karis and Jessica Taylor of the Federation government said, "I want to show you something," and took him to the outskirts of the city. There was a newly manufactured Gundam X. It was a Gundam that had been assembled from parts left in laboratories around the world, and new parts. Although the satellite cannon could not be used because the microwave transmission facility on the moon had been destroyed, it was a powerful Gundam with an overall performance improved by 30%. Garrod again declined the invitation. Even after being reunited with Gundam X, he wanted to live a quiet life with Tiffa. One day, news arrives that the medicine developed by Jamil and his team is being delivered to the city. But almost at the same time, baby Keijo comes down with a new cold. More bad news follows. It's discovered that a group of vultures, who mainly engage in looting, are planning to attack the train carrying the new medicine. The baby's illness is progressing rapidly, and his life is in imminent danger. Garrod recalls the Gundam X. Pretending to cooperate with the Earth Federation, he forcibly starts the Gundam X. He declares his intention to fight to stop the looters, but Jessica rejects Garrod's plea. Jessica, who is pursuing Garrod as a rebel, is joined by reinforcements. It's the Gundam Nouvelle, piloted by Karis. Garrod prepares for battle with Karis, but is surprised by what happens next. Karis crashes Jessica's mobile suit and starts attacking the marauders. Thanks to Garrod and Karis, the transport train is saved from being looted. Keijo and the others' lives are saved by the medicine. Karis pretended to cooperate with the Earth Federation while investigating its internal affairs. In the process, he discovered a new conspiracy. The Vulture Rehabilitation Act was a policy to create a new army. Within the ranks of the Earth Federation military, there were individuals who were dissatisfied with the peace with the Space Revolutionary Army. Therefore, they prepared to form a new army to start a new war. At the center of this plan were Shaja Frost and Oberfrost. By betraying Jessica, Karis became a ruffian, a part of the anti-government forces. Nevertheless, Karis decided to continue his efforts to prevent a new war. Garrod decides to work with Karis, wanting Tiffa to have a peaceful life. Garrod thinks of leaving without telling her, but Tiffa joins him. It's okay if dangerous or scary things happen, as long as I'm with you. Tiffa decides to stay with Garrod of her own free will. The story ends with Garrod and Tiffa going into battle together. It's unclear whether this story will be continued. After the battles of the TV anime, it's mentioned that the Earth Federation government gave Garrod a reward. However, Garrod did not use the money. Tiffa wanted to keep it carefree for the new life that might one day come to our world, so the money remained untouched. How Shaja and Dober, who are working to start a new war, will attack with what kind of Gundam, and in what way Garrod's former comrades will offer their support, are matters of great interest. Let's hope that the continuation of this story will be told one day. Until then, see you in the next episode.